Welcome back, guys. I just returned from an AT section trip where we did 49.3 miles from Hogpen Gap up to Deep Gap, North Carolina. And I'm going to go over the gear that I took with me during the trip. Now, we ran into challenging terrain, adverse weather conditions, gear failure, food issues, tried and true items, the whole 9 yards. We ran into pretty much everything you could imagine on this trip, for a section anyway, and it gave me quite a bit of insight on things I need to change, things I need to keep the same, and things I need to upgrade. So we're going to go over all that stuff in a minute. Now, before we get started, the cat wants to come up here. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button if you like this content here. This is mostly travel stuff. Obviously, there's the sister channel. The link is going to be in the description as always. But also feel free to shoot out there in the comments what kind of gear you guys take out with you, thoughts, comments about what I have with me, and then we'll go from there. So we're going to start off from the outside in, okay? I wear contact lenses. Obviously, I couldn't on the trip because anybody who's ever worn contacts out in the field, you learn very quickly why you shouldn't wear contacts out in the field, okay? So I wore my glasses out there. My attire is kind of similar to what I'm wearing. You can see in this photo here. I had an over-under shirt, long sleeve, and a short sleeve for a warming layer and a drying layer. I had this hat to keep the sun out of my eyes, and also to try, when I turned the bill backwards, to try and keep it off my neck. Now, that wasn't all the way effective. I got a pretty solid sunburn on the back of my neck. Next time I'm going to bring a bandana with me to tie around, probably around the back or something like that. Because when you're hunched forward with your pack and you're moving forward and you get the sun on your neck, it's going to beat down on you and you will get burned eventually. Next, I wore trekking gloves. These are super handy. They keep your hands warm and they prevent wear on your hands from your trekking poles as you're moving about. Also, it's going to protect you from thorns, rocks, even insects, depending on the time of the year. When you're fire building, it'll even protect your hands from that, obviously. Next, another important piece of gear that I brought with me, my trekking poles. Now, at first, now this one's kind of messed up, I gotta fix it. But at first, I was not a fan of trekking poles. I never brought them with me. I would just pump it out with my pack and just hold true. Well, when you start dealing with harsh up and down terrain, especially rocky terrain, trekking poles are your best friend. You can use them as feelers to kind of like feel out if you got firm ground under you. You can use them to help balance you. A whole number of different things. Trekking poles are fantastic. The problem is, like I mentioned before with the gloves, they can definitely wear on your hands. So yeah, it's a good combination. Now, a quick note on clothing. You'll notice in the photo what I'm wearing there, the over-under shirt. Obviously, the sleeves are going to keep me warm, and they can even keep me dry depending on what frequency of rain you're dealing with, or even snow. But also, it helps prevent sunburn. It keeps the sun off of your arms and stuff. Now, if you look at my pants, the pants are going to be just basic 5'11" cargo pants, and these are super durable. They are semi-waterproof, tear-resistant, so thorns don't catch on these things at all, and they don't wear. I've been using these things for probably 5 years on pretty hectic expeditions that I've gone out on, rocks, adverse weather, the whole 9 yards, and they've held through every single time. They're light enough where you're not going to burn up and they're not going to weigh you down, but they're enough to keep you warm and enough to keep you dry. Now, let's have a look at my shoes real quick. So these are my hiking boots right here. I'm not going to put them on my table because they're gross. They're basic Keens. They are super heavy. They're very, very durable. These ones have a steel toe in them, which I'm not a particular fan of that, but that's what they had at the store. That's what I ended up getting. Super durable, excellent with rocks. And if you kick a rock, like in some shoes, like really light shoes, like tennis shoes or something like that, you're gonna bust your toes up. These, forget it. I can't even count how many times I smash my toes. Look how thick these toes are. Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic. Remember, section hiking, not through hiking, okay? So I can deal with the heavier boots. They're very good protection, they're waterproof, and yeah, they're super, super durable. have a look at these things. Very nice tread. The tread holds on very good while you're on the trail. I had zero problems with these. Even the laces are very durable too. You know how sometimes when your laces get wet, they'll fray or they'll snap on you? Not these. Fantastic. So, yeah, the boots worked out really, really well. Now, obviously, when it comes down to backpacking, we gotta look at the pack. Now, before we get started on this, again, I gotta emphasize, I was section hiking, okay? I was not through hiking, so I was not doing any ultralight. I didn't have any restock options. I mean, they were available, there was hostels and stuff, but I had no intention of stopping because I was running for 6 days, and that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna stay out in the field for 6 days. There was not gonna be going into town, resupply, none of that stuff. Pretty much what I had on my back, that's what I had. So basically, that's that. So you're gonna see some items that you're gonna go, what? And yeah, we're gonna talk about them, but you gotta remember there's a big difference between through hiking and section hiking. So let's have a look at the pack here. Now it's an Osprey 70 liter. It's a big pack, and you can tell just by looking at it, it looks like a pretty solid loadout. But all in all, excluding water, it's maybe 30 pounds with the total loadout. Now right here, you got my bedroll right there, my sleeping mat, tent. Contained in here is, on the side when we go to gut it, there's going to be a knife in there and a saw. Around front, water bottles. I mean, you can just get these at the gas station. These things are, let's see, how many liters? Like 33.8 liters. That's just perfect for being on the trail. It holds a whole lot of water, and you know, it's really, really convenient, and they stick out enough for you to reach them too. Obviously, it's the pack components, the cummerbund, that is your other water. Now you got your top pack where you're gonna have all your other things in there, and we're gonna gut everything out. Okay, so we're gonna go from the outside in, okay? There's the pack, right? Again, I'm not through hiking, okay, so I can afford to have a bigger pack. But anyway, so on this front, unsnap, 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 and then I can pull my tent. We'll look at the tent in a second. And the front pouch, waterproofing bag that I forgot I had, simple garbage bag. Knife, this came in handy quite a bit actually, we'll get into that. And then contained in here, basic folding saw. This did not come into use this time around, but I've used it before in the past. Now, attached down at the bottom, my sleeping pad, so just unsnap, unsnap. There's a sleeping pad. We'll look at that in a second. Alright, now let's dig into the pack. Alright, so let's look in the top pocket here. It's got 3 top pockets, and I've got a portable charger, a second portable charger. This came in handy with my equipment that I had with me. Leather lashing. This worked out very, very good for me, and I chose leather over rope because, especially if it gets wet, it holds very tight, but this stuff does not break. Like, you'd have to really, really tug at it to get it to break. Then hygiene material, deodorant because I don't like to stink, eating spoon, and then various drink mixes. This is just one of them that I had left over. We call this Brondo, which is hilarious if you know the movie that it came from. But this helps out with electrolytes, and it keeps you going. You just dump it into one of your water bottles, shake it up really good. Second pouch. Flashlight. Backup flashlight. Glasses case. Obviously, I don't want to just leave my glasses loose in the tent. I'll smash them. And then toothbrush kit with toothpaste. Super handy. Nobody wants to have disgusting teeth. And your third pouch. This one had hygiene gear in it, but in these pockets, I also kept my readily accessible snacks and stuff like that, like my snack bars and that. I kept these up here so I could easily just grab them. Down here on the cummerbund, it's got pockets right here, and I also kept snacks and stuff in there as well. All right, now that we've had a look at the top, we'll just unsnap, unsnap, and it'll drop back. Okay, and then you have your fly hood right here. All right, and I arranged everything in here in order of accessibility. You have to excuse the floor, a lot of this dirt's coming off my pack, I just brought it in. So let's check it out. Now from top to bottom, I set this up for accessibility. What I was most likely to use, obviously at the top, and then all the way down to the things at the bottom, which is like sleeping bag, things like that that are gonna come out at the end of the day. So, going from the very top of the pack, poncho. I use this every single day. Multiple use, we'll talk about that. Immediately under the poncho, and probably one of the most important things, your med kit. Incredibly important. Now I put this under the poncho because I can just rip the poncho right out. And more likely, I already have the poncho out, but that med kit needs to be on top. In all cases, it has to be on top. You can always get past it to get to your other gear. Keep the med kit on top so you can just grab it in case you need it. Very important. Next in line, water purification kit. We've already talked about this on a prior video, but it is the very simple and very dirty right now Sawyer water purification kit. Comes with 2 bags for water collection. Right there. Now you can use this for cleaning or you can use it for gathering water. I've used it for both. And then here is your filter. Yeah, you're gonna use your water kit a whole lot. Now, here's where we're gonna start getting kind of hinky. And some of you guys are gonna go, what? Why do you have that? All right, get ready for this. Okay, so anybody who's been out on the trail for any period of time, baby wipes, I forgot to bring them initially. I happened to find these in a hiker box. Very, very happy that I did. You get disgusting very quickly out there, and baby wipes are your best friend. Trust me. Another very important thing, your shovel. Okay, now this is a huge, heavy, old style e-tool that folds out, just like this. And then all you do, you screw it to secure it, right? You can see it's still dirty. Now this has multiple uses. We'll talk about that in a second. Toilet paper. It's a good idea to wrap this in plastic wrap because this quickly got wet when it started raining. Now I'm going to drive some of you guys crazy with this one. I have my canteen cup for obviously for drinking coffee and stuff in the morning, or to put your food mix in there if you're rationing out your food like I did. And here's the one. This massive water reserve. Yeah, I can hear you guys having a stroke right now. When me and my brother, we went out, it's good to have a water reserve with you. This holds 64 ounces. Yeah, massive, super heavy too, let me tell you. But it's really good to have this separate from your drinking water. So obviously with your drinking water, you keep that readily accessible. You always have that, but you always have a reserve of water in case you can't find a water source for whatever reason. In the past, this has saved my butt. Trust me, it really has. Out in the desert especially, there's no water out there. Or if you're in certain areas like in southern Ohio where all the water sources are contaminated, this is your best friend. On the AT, not really necessary, but it worked out really good for us. Next, camp pillow. Yep, I know, it's a luxury. I like it. Just fold it just like that. Super comfortable. Made my life a whole lot easier. Now the next few items actually kind of caused me more grief than they were worth, and it was changes of clothing. It is good to have a change of clothing, especially for like evening. It's nice to have like a sleeping cap, you know, like a beanie or something. Throw it on while you're sleeping, especially when it's cold out. That's what I usually wear. I'll throw on my beanie and it'll keep my head warm. But if you have changes of clothes, because let's face it, your clothing is going to get disgusting. You're going to get sweaty. You're going to get stuff all over it, you know, or you get soaking wet. You want to have dry clothes. Well, if you're going to bring dry clothes, you want it to stay dry. Make sure you put it in a bag. I forgot to do that. But I ended up bringing an extra over and undershirt, long sleeve, shorts for camp, extra drawers. You want extra drawers, at least one pair. And then extra socks. Now you'll want to have extra socks, like at least a few pairs with you, because there is nothing that will rot faster than your feet. If you keep the same pair of socks on for 6 days in a row, they're soaking wet, they're sweaty, they're disgusting. Bring extra socks. It's just a good idea. The extra weight is worth it. The next two items were basically useless. I didn't use them once. I will not be bringing them again. Lanterns, camp lanterns. They're good if you're going to be stationary somewhere. These were completely useless on the trail. I will not be bringing these again. And then at the very bottom of the bag is going to be the sleeping bag. Now anybody who's ever been backpacking, you know what a pain it is to draw your sleeping bag out from the very bottom of your bag. It sucks, and 9 times out of 10, it's just going to get wedged in there and it messes everything up. Luckily with my Osprey, it's got this little pouch down here. You just unzip her, and shazam, there she is. There, I just pulled her out. We'll look at the sleeping bag in a second. But there's the pouch. Don't mind the dirt. It's obviously from the trail. Now it's got this little separating flap right here that separates your sleeping bag from the rest of your pouch. That way your stuff doesn't fall down in here, all right, and get mixed in and jumbled up. No, you could just keep everything separate up top and just have your sleeping bag down here so you could easily draw it out. Now my pack's gutted. Getting dirt all over the place, but pack itself is maybe a cumulative 5 pounds or something like that, maybe. I think I might be exaggerating there, but it's nothing that's like super heavy, but it is definitely a heavier build, and I got it like that on purpose because this thing goes through pretty much every terrain you can imagine. Rocks, desert, winter, cold, wet, everything. It's semi-waterproof, super durable, tear resistant. Yeah, it's a very, very good pack. The Aether 70 AG. Highly recommended for long range. Okay, now I pulled all this stuff out of my pack. Let's get a look at the gear itself. The E-Tool shovel. This is going to get replaced following this trip. It weighs a ton. It's cheaply made. But for what it is, it works. You use it for digging out fire pits, cat holes, things of that nature. It folds up really nice, but the darn thing weighs a ton. So I already have another one lined up that I'm going to trade it out with. The basic poncho. This thing is great. Let's talk about this. So in my carelessness, I forgot to bring my rain fly for my tent. Not good, especially when it's going to rain. Luckily for me, the poncho doubled off as a rain fly. That's right. So you can open it up, and it has these grommets here that you can tie down with those leather lashings that I showed you. And you can tie it down on your tent the same way you would tie down a fly. Works like a charm. It's fantastic. On top of it, you can put it over your bag to cover it up and protect it from the weather. Love the poncho. My knife. I mentioned this came in handy, and it sure did. Yes, it did. So it's a super sharp knife. I mean, this thing is sharp. Nice leather sheath on there. It's got a gut hook on there. This is good for cutting brush and like small like saplings if you're clearing out your campsite and that. And it's also good for cutting meat, which we ended up doing. I like to bring summer sausage with me. That way I get the extra salt and fat. It's really good. And you can use this for stripping out bark if you need to make up some tinder for your fire. Yeah, a knife is definitely essential. It worked out really good for me. You can get smaller ones or different ones. I think this one all around worked out perfectly for me. Now, even though I didn't use it this time around, this saw, this very simple saw, has definitely made a name for itself. I have cut more firewood with this thing from big logs and stuff like that that kept me warm at night, especially in wintertime. Yeah, this thing is definitely going to come with me every single time. I didn't use it this time on the trail because it wasn't really necessary. We faced challenges with waterlogged wood. A lot of it was easy to break, and some of it was nice and dried down in Carolina and Georgia. You know, you get lucky. But yeah, usually a saw would be very good. This is something I'm going to keep in my kit in reserve. It's a good saw, and then obviously the carrying kit for it. Let's talk sleeping mat. This thing weighs a ton. And it's huge, it's heavy, it's cumbersome, but it gave me something to sleep on. So this works for the time being. I am going to replace this thing with something lighter. I am going to do that because this thing just weighs a ton. It's probably the second heaviest thing in my pack. But not everything's going to be Gucci in everybody's kit. You ever hear the saying that folks spend a fortune to live like homeless people? Well, you don't exactly have to do that, but you're going to spend money to get the better stuff. This was relatively cheap. It does the job, but it has to get replaced. But that was the carrying case. Obviously, it shields it from the weather and stuff. And you can see it's banded right there. Now this valve right here, you screw it and unscrew it. You hear that hiss there? It's self-inflating right there. And it puffs out and it gives you about that much, maybe an inch or so of space. It does keep you off the ground. It does keep you warmer staying off the ground because it's semi-insulated. Super durable. The seals are very good on this thing. Maybe because it's super heavy duty anyway. And it works out. But again, it's huge, it's heavy. I'm gonna replace it. All right, now let's check out my sleeping bag. Some of you guys might recognize this, Walmart shelf, right? Single man pop-up tent, simple as it gets. Got the carrying case, obviously, and it's so simple, it's ridiculous. Stakes. You can get lighter ones, these come with it. They work. These are your tent poles, and there's only 2 of them. So one's the primary archway on the front of it, this part here, that's where the primary is, and then the secondary one goes on the back here, the smaller one. So I'm not gonna dig them out and stuff. I mean, they're tent poles, you know what tent poles are like, I hope. And then obviously the sleeping bag itself. Now, something I like about this, it ultralight. It's super duper light. It fits me, it fits my pack. Yeah, I bring my pack in with me. Protect it from weather, mice, things of that nature. Yeah, it's got just enough room that I can fit in there and along with my gear, but it's small enough and compact enough where it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. Not in my pack, even though it is kind of long on the outside, but not a whole lot of space on the outside either, so works out pretty good for me. It is semi-waterproof. It is not all the way waterproof. You will get some seepage, and obviously there's going to be some condensation in there. In heavy rains, it's followed through for me pretty good. All right, now let's talk food. I took a bunch of these with me, these adventure meals. They're expensive, they're ridiculous, but they do provide a good source of calories, so they work out pretty good. Are there other alternatives? Yep. Do I recommend other alternatives? Yep. But these work if you got them. Now the last piece of gear I want to talk about that I had in my pocket was this crappy little camera. And you'll notice from the quality of the footage that you guys are going to see in the video and some of the previous videos, the quality's not the best. Super durable. The battery life lasts forever. I just pull it out of my pocket and I can just use it whenever. So this works out very well. Let's talk sleeping sack. This thing is an abomination. Super heavy, super bulky, and it's only rated for maybe 50 degrees or something like that. When it's cold and it's wet out, you're gonna be miserable. I was. Definitely gonna do an upgrade on this, but it's about as simple as it gets. It's just a simple zip down side sleeping bag, secures with 2 of these elastic bands. It works. Well, there it is, guys. That's my basic loadout that I took with me out on the AT section this last go around. The video series, it's going to be a 3-parter. It's going to be coming out pretty soon. I just got to get it edited, the whole 9 yards. I think I pretty well covered what I was going to replace and all of that. Yeah, oh, lessons learned. Definitely make sure that you bring enough food, because when you run out of calories, oh yeah, you gas out pretty quick. You're going to lose weight on the AT just because of the strenuous effort, but make sure that you have calories. It's super, super important that you do that. Rain prepping. Yeah, I should have used that plastic bag to wrap all my stuff inside my pack, and it would have stayed dry. So, yeah, it happens, but hey, you live, you learn, right? But that should do it. What do you guys take in your kit? if you're going to be going out and doing like a section or any kind of period of long range hiking, or even if you're doing like a couple overnights or whatever. Shoot out in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll catch you on the next one.